explorers of the primitive universe. In the previous episode, we witnessed the miraculous journey of the Homo sapiens ancestors. From being on par with ants, they climbed to the pinnacle of the food chain. The evolutionary steps of the species over time were gradually driven by changes in nature and the species' own needs. From herds, we gradually formed tribes, clans, and societies. Then we had the agricultural revolution, abandoning the nomadic lifestyle full of hardships. As the methods of producing and accumulating material wealth changed, we witnessed the birth of money. Today, that journey of humanity will continue right now. And this is the next part of the Human History series. Part 2. Empires, Religion, and the Scientific Technological Revolution. After undergoing necessary revolutions and achieving an irreplaceable position, our species reached a new level. Following ancient civilizations, humanity witnessed the emergence of powerful and vast empires. So what is an empire? How did empires influence history? And are empires entirely negative? An empire is a powerful state with extensive international influence, ruling over large territories or dominating many other countries. Throughout history, many empires possessed vast territories spanning continents, sometimes called global empires. But no empire has ever been capable of dominating the entire world. However, efforts stemming from personal ambition or hegemonic nationalism, such as Napoleon's French Empire or the Axis powers in World War II, all failed. Empire. In Vietnamese, there are two distinct words with different meanings. Empire. The typical confusion is the Vietnamese empire. 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 German Empire. Empire. Through the definition thus given, we can say that empires have two particularly important characteristics. First, an empire must rule a significant number of different ethnic groups, meaning they must have diverse cultural identities, as well as possess their own distinct territories. Second, an empire must have clear borders, but these borders may change according to their endless ambitions. Cultural diversity and territorial flexibility are key factors that help empires successfully unify multiple ethnic groups under a single flag, connecting various human groups on this planet. The basic purpose of empires and their conquest wars involves expanding territorial scope, seizing wealth, resources, and slaves. Additionally, it includes maintaining trade activities, such as trade monopolies, missionary work, or sustaining taxation and tribute systems from many countries. Not just seizing, but also maintaining that seizure long-term to serve and preserve the empire's prosperity. The specific purposes of each empire during expansion may slightly differ from the basic ones, due to varying economic, social, and historical conditions. The Portuguese and Spanish empires expanded from the need to spread Catholicism. In the context of the Ottoman Empire's rise, which seized roots to the east, spread Islam, and launched deep incursions into Europe occurring in the Balkans. The mission to spread Catholicism became a competitive necessity. Meanwhile, the Portuguese and later the Dutch particularly focused on trade for prosperity, strengthening the nation against European powers. Portugal, being a small country with a smaller population than other European nations, did not allow them to deeply penetrate Europe. Overseas expansion allowed them to seize backward regions where their military and technological capabilities at the time made it easier than in Europe.
As for the Dutch, they were driven by the need to consolidate prosperity, ensuring their decades-long war against Spain for independence in the north and later the southern provinces.
From the 17th century, France aggressively pursued overseas colonial expansion to build power and prosperity across continents, thereby promoting the glory and political prestige of the Bourbon dynasty in Europe.
But not all empires emerged through military war. A prime example is the Athenian Empire, as it appeared as a voluntary alliance. And not all empires required a despotic emperor to rule. The largest empire in human history was governed by a democratic system. Area or population cannot be factors to judge whether a country is an empire or not.
Many ancient empires had much smaller areas and populations than modern nations. In the past 2,500 years of recorded history, we have witnessed many empires rise and then decline. Clearly, this is the most common form of political organization in the world. It is relatively stable and long-lasting, with a high capacity to suppress rebellions. The collapse of empires mainly stems from divisions within a ruling class or being wiped out by another empire.
Although it is a collection of different ethnic groups, that does not mean that when the empire collapses, the oppressed peoples will be liberated. They simply change masters. A new empire will immediately rise, as a political entity filling the power vacuum left by the old empire.
We know that establishing and maintaining an empire is often associated with many bloody massacres, even genocide without mercy. However, it cannot be denied that the legacies left by empires have shaped the world of today. Rejecting those positive legacies is equivalent to rejecting human history and culture. Countless human achievements were formed through the process of exploiting and oppressing subjugated peoples.
Please look here.
This is the Taj Mahal, extremely famous in India, one of the greatest structures humanity has ever created. The Taj Mahal is generally considered the finest example of Mughal architecture,
a style that synthesizes elements of Persian, Turkish, Indian, and Islamic architectural styles.
Although the white marble dome of the tomb is the most prominent part. In fact, the Taj Mahal is a composite of architectural styles.
It was listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1983 and was described as a masterpiece admired by the world among the World Heritages.
The Taj Mahal was built on a plot of land south of the ancient city of Agra.
The area, covering nearly 12,000 square meters, was excavated, filled with dust to reduce seepage, and raised 50 meters above the riverbank.
In the tomb area, wells were dug and filled with rubble to create the foundation for the tomb. Instead of using wooden supports, the builders constructed a large brick scaffold mirroring the tomb. The scaffold was enormous, estimated to take several years for the builders to dismantle. The tomb and its surroundings took about 12 years to complete.
The rest of the complex took another 10 years and was completed in the order of the mosque, guesthouse, and main gateway.
Since the complex was built in multiple phases, there are differences in completion dates due to varying perspectives on what constitutes completion.
For example, the tomb itself was essentially completed in 1643, but work continued to finish the rest of the complex.
Cost estimates for construction vary due to difficulties in estimating costs over time. The total cost was estimated to be around 32 million rupees at the time.
Building materials for the Taj Mahal were sourced from many places across India and Asia, with over 1,000 elephants used to transport them. Translucent white marble was purchased from Makrana and jade from China, while lapis lazuli was bought from Sri Lanka.
A total of 28 types of precious and semi-precious stones were inlaid into the white marble. 20,000 laborers were employed from across northern India.
Sculptors from Bukhara, calligraphers from Syria and Persia, stone polishers from southern India, stone cutters from Baluchistan. An expert in building towers and someone specializing solely in carving marble flowers, among a total of 37 artisans who created this masterpiece. So, if not for the exploitation of Indian subjects by the Mughal Empire, we would not be able to admire the magnificent beauty of the Taj Mahal today. In addition to uniting many small cultures into a larger one, the empire actively promoted cultural assimilation to make governance easier. This action can be understood similarly to the process of ethnic assimilation. I will show you a very relatable example right now. Ethnic assimilation, natural assimilation, and forced assimilation. If natural assimilation is a natural trend in human history, forced assimilation is the coercion of a subjugated people to accept the language, script, customs, and traditions of the ruling people. As we know, after entering the passes and conquering the Central Plains, many Manchu people changed to Han surnames. This is a strange phenomenon in history. The conquerors assimilated themselves with the conquered. Why is it considered strange? Looking back at the Han assimilation of the Baewi peoples, it can be seen that a series of ethnic groups were quickly Sinicized, such as Yunnan, Guangxi, Fujian, and Nanyue. The Han assimilated peoples by sending troops to invade and Hanize them, except for one anomalous case, the Oyu and Luoyu. The Han greatly desired to assimilate them but failed even after a millennium. It can only be explained that the assimilation capacity or ethnic resilience of this people is stronger than that of others. Speaking of ethnic resilience, not only the Vietnamese but also the Jews must be mentioned, whose territorial and religious disputes with the Arab world remain a global focus.
By the 21st century, we no longer see the strength of nationalism as before. It gradually dissolves into so-called global culture. Countries open up to the global market economy, international oversight, or public disclosure of information to world opinion.
Beyond national boundaries, we cannot but mention religion. In the view of many, religion is understood as a system of norms and values built on the basis of belief in some supernatural force. These can be very different belief systems, but monotheistic belief is more common. We have talked too much about monotheistic religions like Christianity and Islam in previous videos. However, polytheism is rarely mentioned.
Polytheism inherently does not concern itself with human worldly desires.
It is akin to not needing to ask any power to grant you what you want. The only way to reach the supreme power of the universe is to abandon all greed, anger, and delusion, and be content with the good, the bad, failures, poverty, illness, and death. However, it is difficult for a monotheist to understand polytheism, as they have absolute faith in the highest deity they worship. Polytheism also gave rise to dualistic religions, which acknowledge the existence of two opposing forces, good and evil.
As explained, the entire universe is a battlefield between these two forces. Moreover, besides religions focused on supernatural powers or a powerful entity, there are also special religions.
In the 1st century BCE, religions like Jainism and Buddhism in India, Taoism and Confucianism in China, Stoicism, skepticism, and hedonism disregarded deities. They believed the world is governed by natural laws, not by the will of deities. They still acknowledged the existence of gods, but those gods represented nature.
Understanding polytheism allows people to be tolerant of multiple religions, accept the powers of various gods, and treat believers and non-believers equally.
Even when polytheists like the Achaemenids, Brahmins, and Aztecs conquered large empires, they did not try to convert their subjects, send missionaries, or dispatch armies to distant lands for religious purposes. Over time, some polytheists grew so fond of a particular protective deity that they gradually separated from basic polytheism. They believed that deity had supreme power and thought they could communicate directly with it. This gave rise to monotheism, whose followers constantly prayed to the supreme deity for healing, watery winds, and victory in battles.
In general, religion is too broad a topic to be fully discussed in such a short time. In human history, religion has always held an irreplaceable and important position.
For most of their existence, humans after the cognitive revolution became quite pessimistic. Few had faith in their own abilities. Instead, they trusted in an omnipotent being, gods, Buddha, or God. They lived and survived by sitting still and waiting for judgment from these entities.
But everything changed significantly from the 16th and 17th centuries onwards.
The next revolution arrived. A scientific revolution swept through Europe, bringing unexpected great achievements. Instead of entrusting their fate to God, people began thinking about how to improve their own lives and society through science. By applying scientific principles of exploration, experimentation, and observation, humans made leaps in understanding most areas of life, especially medicine, astronomy, and physics.
These discoveries made society in general a much more livable and easier place to live.
The premise of this revolution was none other than the scientific and technical achievements of all previous periods, especially the inheritance of astronomy, mathematics, and physics. First, we must return to Nicolaus Copernicus and his work on the motion of the planets, published in 1543. Through it, he proved that the Sun, not the Earth, is the center of the universe, dealing a fatal blow to the geocentric system of Ptolemy, which had dominated for thousands of years.
Despite the Christian Church's prohibition, his theory persisted. Giordano Bruno fought for science and was sentenced to death. Never before had science been treated so brutally and harshly.
Soon after, Kepler, the German scientist, proved the correctness of Copernicus's ideas. But it was only when Galileo published his dialogue concerning the two chief world systems in 1632, highlighting the scientific nature of the Copernican system, that things seemed settled. The truth was accepted. Galileo was also the first to use a telescope to observe the sky, established experimental physics, laid the foundation for dynamics, and developed the scientific experimental method. In 1687, Newton wrote his work, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, systematizing the achievements of previous scientists, including Kepler's 3 laws of planetary motion, and introduced the law of universal gravitation. Additionally, he made great contributions to optics, mathematics, and co-invented calculus with Leibniz, though both scientists worked independently without any exchange during their creation. In the 18th century, great achievements continued to emerge in various fields, especially due to atomic reactions in chemistry, and science began to have foundations for exploring the microscopic world, notably in physics, mathematics, biology, and chemistry. But the scientific revolution from the 17th to the early 18th century did not strongly affect technology. Most achievements served to explain natural laws and improve techniques from previous centuries. By the late 17th and early 18th centuries, the classical scientific system was established, completing the first scientific revolution in human history, which directly paved the way for the scientific and technical revolution of the late 18th and early 19th centuries.
This also coincided with the Industrial Revolution that occurred vigorously in Western Europe. Significant achievements included the steam engine in 1712 by Newcomen, perfected by James Watt into a coal and water-powered engine in 1784.
In 1764, James Hargreaves invented the spinning jenny, and in 1785, Edmund Cartwright invented the power loom, increasing productivity 39 times. Metallurgy also opened new fields when Abraham Darby first used coke to smelt iron, later industrializing it with his son. By 1784, Henry Quart and others smelted iron into steel, an extremely important alloy in the upcoming large-scale industry. In transportation, steamships began operating across oceans, carrying thousands of tons. In 1814, Stephenson built the steam locomotive, and the first railway was constructed connecting Darlington with Stockton in England. By 1858, the world had 40,000 kilometers of railways, with the US accounting for 40%. Samuel Morse's invention of the telegraph had historical significance for the birth of the communications industry during the development of the capitalist mode of production.
In 1851, the submarine cable crossed the English Channel, and transoceanic cables. These achievements in the 18th century were turning points in fields closely linked to technology, transforming textiles, transportation, communications, metallurgy, and machinery manufacturing.
From then on, a new technical system based on steam engines, coal, and iron and steel was formed, replacing the previous system that relied mainly on muscle, water, and animal power. In the 19th century, these achievements continued to improve with the advent of new production tools and means, creating a machinery system applied in production and life, shaping the capitalist large-scale industry and industrial society in Britain, France, the US, and later many Western countries.
From here, industrial society truly became a new current of civilization, knocking on the doors of nations and peoples still in pre-industrial conditions.
When the first industrial network began, scientists with strong royal backing set sail to seek ideas and resources to earn money and further enrich their nation.
Most notably, the event of King Castile funding Columbus's famous journey across the Great World.
Though accidental, that journey discovered the Americas, bringing immeasurable resources from the New World back to the homeland. Europe truly transformed through science.
The immense power led to the destruction of hundreds of ancient and unique civilizations.
Ruins were devastated, indigenous people were oppressed, killed, or enslaved. But that was only the beginning.
As we have just witnessed, European governments used scientific achievements to expand their territories. It is no coincidence that the largest empire in human history, the British Empire, emerged from here.
The British Empire included autonomous regions, protectorates, mandates, and other territories ruled or managed by the Commonwealth and its predecessor states.
The British Empire originated with colonies and overseas trading posts established by Britain from the late 16th to early 18th centuries.
At its peak, the British Empire was considered the largest territorial empire in human history and the leading global power for over a century.
At the time of its maximum territorial extent in 1922, the empire ruled about 458 million people, accounting for 23% of the world's population then, and covered approximately 33.67 million square kilometers, representing 24% of the Earth's total land area.
The British Empire was also the largest empire in world history, so its cultural, linguistic, and legal legacies were widely disseminated.
At the height of its power, the British Empire was often poetically referred to with the immortal phrase, "the empire on which the sun never sets," because the sun was always shining on at least one of its territories.
During the Age of Discovery in the 15th and 16th centuries, Spain and Portugal were the pioneering European nations, leading the world exploration movement. And in the process, they established large overseas empires.
Envious of the immense success and numerous benefits gained by these two colonial empires, England, France, and the Netherlands began establishing their colonies and trade networks in the Americas, Asia, and Africa. A series of wars with France and the Netherlands in the 17th and 18th centuries helped Britain become the dominant power in North America and India.
But at the same time, Britain's influence was limited in Europe compared to others. With great ambition, European nations spread their influence to every corner of the world.
Local customs, cultures, and laws were gradually replaced by other supercultures based on European standards.
Western religion, Western democracy, and Western science.
Although these European empires have long declined and lost their influence, we are still accustomed to inheriting these cultural legacies. The greatest surviving legacy to this day is none other than capitalism.
Both you and I are selling ourselves to capital every day. We all believe in the power and necessity of money. No matter where you live in the world, life will involve money and other possible material possessions. Needs, living standards, and social status are expressed by money. In fact, the power and influence of capitalism globally, along with the strong support of science, have somewhat blurred the imprint of cultural factors, especially religion. Though still firm in the modern world, many religious beliefs have been somewhat shaken. People no longer strive to reach heaven or a better world, but focus on enjoying and satisfying needs in the present world.
This obviously leads us to explore more, exchange, and consume increasingly more goods and services.
Things created to make humans happier.
After countless conflicts, wars, and deaths,
now our world has become relatively peaceful in the era of globalization.
Globalization is a topic that always sparks controversy, and not everyone is happy about it.
We can see countless criticisms directed at globalization, how it erodes cultural diversity,
turning the whole world into a stupid.
However, despite the casual gossip, globalization still demonstrates a huge impact on world peace.
Modern nations are closely interdependent for mutual development. In such a connected world, trade and investment networks span many countries.
So a war or instability in one region can cause widespread economic consequences.
After World War II, there have been almost no significant large-scale wars between nations,
except for the recent war between Russia and Ukraine.
The latter half of the 20th century was the most peaceful period humanity has experienced. Since the beginning of the revolution, humans have always tried to turn their backs on violence as much as possible. It is estimated that before the agricultural era, when humans still only knew hunting and gathering, 30% of adult men became victims of intentional homicide or manslaughter. Looking back at modern times, only about 1% of adult men die from violence. We can easily see the achievements that humanity has attained so far. However, remember never to underestimate war. Humankind must always be vigilant against potential conflict.
If there are any more world wars, human history would likely stop there. Our journey through the history of Homo sapiens is nearly over.
We have gone through 300,000 years, from the East African grasslands to the modern globalized world. And we have also somewhat understood the main trends in human development. Do you feel that humanity has undergone a miraculous journey? In the future, what stages will our species advance to next? Perhaps we can only wait and see.
Today's video will end here.
Sending warm regards to everyone. See you again and wish you
Please subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to watch exciting videos.